Why did you slowly lose yourself in that relationship without even realizing it was happening? That's what we're going to discuss today. Good morning. Let's talk about something survivors don't always recognize right away. You didn't just lose a relationship. You slowly lost pieces of yourself. See, a lot of people walk away from narcissistic relationships thinking the main damage was the arguments, the manipulation, the disrespect. But the real damage was the slow disappearance of who you were. And the scary part is it didn't happen all at once. It happened quietly, one adjustment at a time. At first, you're just trying to keep the peace. You are trying to avoid arguments. You're trying to explain yourself better. You are trying to show them that you care. At the same time, you're trying to make the relationship work. And I'm going to tell you, in the beginning, that actually feels normal. That feels like compromise. It feels like love. But over time, something starts changing. You start adjusting your tone. You start adjusting your opinions. You start adjusting your boundaries. And sometimes you even start adjusting your dreams. Not because you're weak, because you care. See, people who have never dealt with a narcissistic personality don't understand this part. They think survivors stayed because they were naive. They think survivors stayed because they were desperate. But I'm going to tell you something right now. The truth is much deeper than that. See, most survivors stayed because they were trying to love someone through their chaos. They thought patience would fix it. They thought understanding would fix it. They thought if they just communicated better, things would improve. But what actually happens in these relationships is something very, very different. You start slowly organizing your life around someone else's instability. You become careful about what you say, careful about what you share, careful about what success looks like, because success might trigger them. Confidence might trigger them. Even happiness might trigger them. So I'm going to ask you, at this stage, what do? You shrink. You begin to shrink, not dramatically, not obviously, quietly. And that's when identity starts disappearing. Not because someone forced you, but because you were trying to survive the relationship. Now, here's a lie many survivors carry after they leave. They think that they were the problem. And you know how I know this? Because they say things like, maybe I was too emotional. Maybe I was too intense. Maybe I was too ambitious. Maybe I was too sensitive. But let me tell you something today. You were not too much. You were never too much. You were simply too bright for someone who needed control. You shone your light. See, the reason people slowly lose themselves in narcissistic relationships is because they start organizing their life around someone else's instability. And when someone depends on control to feel secure, your growth, your very growth, becomes a threat. Your independence becomes disrespect. Your confidence becomes competition. And your voice becomes rebellion. And that's exactly when the criticism begins. That's when the little comments start. They question your decisions. They minimize, they make small your achievements. They joke about your ideas. They make you second guess yourself. And at first, you brush it off. You say they're just having a bad day. I've been there. I know what that feels like. They didn't mean it like that. Yeah, you're second guessing yourself. They're under a lot of stress. Stress does not give someone permission to treat you in such a manner. But over time, those small moments add up. And before you know it, you're not the same person you used to be. You start hesitating before speaking. You start apologizing for things that are not your fault. You start doubting your own instincts. And the most dangerous part of narcissistic relationships is this. They train you to distrust yourself. Because, see, once you stop trusting yourself, this is very important, listen very clearly, you become easier to control. You become easier to control. You start asking them what's real. You start asking them what happened. You start asking them how you should feel. And the person who was once confident, now that person feels confused. But here is the truth I want survivors to hear today. The version of you before the chaos, it's still there. Let that sink in. The confidence, the curiosity, the creativity, the ability to love deeply, none of that disappeared. It was buried under survival. See, when you live inside chaos long enough, you stop being yourself. You start being the version of yourself that can survive the chaos. But once the chaos is gone, once the confusion clears, once the trauma bond begins to break, that buried version of you, it starts coming back. Slowly. Quietly. But powerful. See, one day, and I've been there, one day you notice something. You are laughing again. You are speaking your mind again. You are dreaming again. You're making decisions without asking for permission. And suddenly you realize something absolutely incredible. You feel like yourself again. And that right there is the real victory. Not revenge. I say this so many times. Not revenge, not proving someone wrong, not getting closure from someone who could never give it. The real victory is remembering who you were. Remembering who you were before the chaos and choosing never to abandon that person again. Because, listen to me clearly, because the greatest thing survivors reclaim after narcissistic abuse is not the relationship. It's never the relationship. It is their identity. And once you reclaim that, once you reconnect with your voice, once you trust your instincts again, the chaos the chaos no longer has power over you. So, if you're in that rebuilding stage, if you are still rediscovering who you are, let me tell you something. Be patient with yourself. Healing takes time. Clarity takes time. But let me tell you something. Every day you choose peace, every day you choose truth, every day you choose yourself, you are moving closer to the life that was waiting for you all along. Can I say something? The greatest victory after narcissistic abuse is not proving them wrong. It's remembering who you were before you ever met them. Like I say, always the day before you met them, you were great, you were amazing, and deep down inside you still are. I need you to stay powerful. Love you guys.
Healing begins the moment you choose yourself again.